Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video. Today's going to be a little bit of a different one. We're on a roll with a reaction video today. A little bit of context is a company called Jubilee over on YouTube create a whole bunch of videos with series such as Middle Ground and Spectrum, and I recently saw that they brought out a Spectrum video where it says, "Do all trans teens think the same?" So if you have never seen a Spectrum video before, what it is there's lines on the ground in like this big warehouse going from strongly disagree to strongly agree and anywhere on that spectrum, and they ask everyone the same question and it invites people to have a big conversation as to what they think and what they agree on. And today I have heard on the pipeline of everything that there's been some controversial opinions. Without further ado, we're going to go and react to it. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of prompts that they get. I would say on the agree side of things here.
People in the past, and like every time, like especially because like I'm a female at birth and non-binary, like if I'm dating like a man, he typically just sees me as a woman. Like I saw a TikTok.
As someone that's non-binary, like pre-surgery, I didn't come out until quite a lot later on. I've been out as non-binary for 2-3 years almost now, and yeah, even then I never really felt like a woman or a man. I don't really feel like I fit into those categories, and my ex-partners definitely, I think they all saw me just solely as a woman because of my body parts and my traits. So I kind of agree with this person, and it's difficult because people can't really separate that concept.
Literally yesterday, it was like, have y'all ever been with a they them woman? I was like, that is so like no.
Oh.
You can't see me as non-binary. I cannot be seen outside with you. Like with
Fair enough.
Women that are cis, like it's more welcoming, but like people like they perceive us as like a lesbian couple, and that's not really like what I'm trying to do.
At my age, boys kind of come into themselves and their desires, and it's just weird because they either want one thing or another thing, and usually like I'm subject to be fetishized. Like sometimes
there's a lot of that.
And, like, like yeah, like you're like the best of both worlds, and I'm like, girl, this is not Hannah Montana. Like I am a girl. I want to have like my own little moment where I could just get my own Prince Charming and stuff like that, and just have a normal, you know,
that's a cute girl to
like
have.
The rest of these cis girls.
For me, like I've normally only dated cis girls. I've been fetishized like probably a couple of times. Like they say, oh yeah, I'm bi, and then they like see me as like a girl.
This is, and I can only speak from my perspective of things. Of course, I'm never going to be speaking on behalf of anyone, but there is a big problem I find when it comes to some cis-het people. Obviously, it's not all cis-het people, but some cis-het people, they see trans people and non-binary people as like, if they're pre-op, then they're dating someone. They base it off of sex rather than gender. And obviously, you know, when it comes to other sexualities like bisexual, pansexual, or any of the others, it's just open to everyone, but they'll still see it as like a homosexual relationship when that's not the case, because, you know, gender and sex aren't matching up. So I completely agree with this person. There's that weird concept of people seeing him as the wrong person if he was pre-op. Obviously I don't know his situation, but yeah.
Girl or something, and it's so bizarre. But I've only recently ever like dated someone who's not cis, and they identify as non-binary, and that relationship taught me so much because I feel like they really saw me like for who I am, and like they were the most like aware person.
I've only been with one cis person, and it was a girl, and I feel like if anything, girls are super understanding, but I'm still open to a cis person.
Interesting.
It depends on the person, really. Like I'm not looking for a trans person.
I'm very much of this mind as well, you know. If the right person's the right person, it doesn't really matter how they identify. They're the right person, you know?
person. I'm just looking for a good person.
You should be able to medically transition before adulthood.
Oh. This is a very interesting question because this can cause a lot of controversy.
A lot of us, we have realized that this is what's best for us, like as kids, and it's all about your mental health and well-being. But also, that being said, I think it's also important that this is what you really want, because it's going to be a life-changing decision.
Yeah.
And behind that, there should be a lot of evaluations and a lot of affirmation.
I should go back. I did like how they asked the question about medical transition, because I believe like even before adulthood, being able to transition at least socially should be good, should be accepted. But medically is a whole different kettle of fish, realistically.
That's basically what I was gonna say. It's like, it depends where you're at. You have to be at a certain place and like make sure like you're really ready, but I do think it would help so many trans kids' mental health if they were able to transition before 18.
It's very interesting to see how everyone is on the agree side and no one's on the disagree. Yeah.
I'm dying to get on hormones, and I do agree that kids like should be able to get like hormones and go through HRT. But like,
So HRT, some of the effects are reversible, some are irreversible. Or at least like puberty blockers are something that people can be on to help them realize like who they are, you know. I've had discussions with people pre my top surgery who were telling me to wait until I was 25 because that's when you're fully developed. But the thing is, when you know, you know. I said previously in my vlog when it came to my surgery that I would have rather have not been here, as in living and existing, if I would have had to have waited years until that. And I was very, very fortunate in order to get my top surgery as quickly as I did. I am fully aware that some people aren't able to, and some people will also be feeling the same way that I did. But yeah, I feel like you should be able to have some of these things before adulthood. Surgery, I'd say probably not, just because of how irreversible it is. And I believe you have to be 18. Maybe here you have to be 18 in order to get any of the surgeries. So HRT, puberty blockers, stuff like that, I think should be good as long as they're monitored by, you know, the right professionals.
like there's also like a little part of me that's like, what if they end up changing their mind?
Like when I was 13, I thought I was a trans man, and then I was like, nah. And then I was like, wait. So it was like, for me, it was just like a lot of like questioning and going through different identities until I found what felt right. And like at the point I'm at right now, like I don't even know if I want to go on like HRT. So if I would have went on that when I was like 13, I don't know. I don't think I would have regretted it, but it was like, I'm glad that I like internalized a lot of it.
I think as long as we educate children on like the risk on transitioning very young,
This.
like medically transitioning very young, and they're educated on the process, I think children should be able to choose whether or not they want to transition young.
There should be more extensive, obviously I can only talk from a UK perspective as well, but there should be more extensive education. In the UK you have to jump through a lot of hoops. I have no clue what it's like in America, but you have to jump through a lot of hoops just to prove it. But I feel like even then in schools there should be more education around like trans people and the effects of transitioning, especially on being so young as well. Oh, an interesting one.
I went to UCI for a quarter, and they were very understanding, and like they don't really like ask questions. But in high school, it was definitely a struggle because like my name was a different name on the roster, and then like I would have to explain. Especially like my Spanish teacher, she had like such like Catholic beliefs, and like she would pull me aside and like ask questions, and it was really sweet of her to like try to understand, but it was also hard for them to like remember like in class and stuff like that.
I can only imagine what it'd be like trying to get teachers to latch on to new pronouns. We had a couple of trans kids at my school, and changing pronouns from she, her to he, him, and vice versa was easy, or easy enough for them because I reckon they got quite a decent amount of training. However, trying to teach teachers or get teachers to use they, them pronouns or neo pronouns would probably be pretty difficult. So I'm kind of lucky in that regards that I did it outside of school. However, when it came to work colleagues and stuff, they didn't really respect those things.
It's kind of a struggle.
I'm honestly really thankful that they really did try to find a way to like make trans people feel a bit more comfortable in the school. Like right now I'm taking like a ballet and Pilates class, and I totally thought it was gonna be, oh, but you were like born male, so you have to do like masculine presenting stuff, which I was like really afraid of, but I'm so glad that they're like really accepting.
I go to UC Berkeley right now, and I get misgendered there like on a daily basis. Like I will introduce myself to the teacher and I'll be like, I go by they, them pronouns, by the way, I'm non-binary, like please respect my pronouns. And like within 2 times like that I'm in the classroom, they'll go back to using she, her pronouns, and like other classmates will also misgender me, and it gets just really mentally taxing at a point, and so I kind of just like stop trying as much.
I completely went through this, so people used to get like upset at me for not correcting them with using my pronouns, but it becomes so exhausting on a daily basis just having to constantly correct people, being like, no, I use they, them, and just having to keep correct them. You just sort of give up. So I fully understand this. Like, even now, after surgery, I don't present femme in any way. You can see, like, I present very Masc, but I still get she, heard for some reason. He, him, I wouldn't really mind, because it's very rare that people would... Unfortunately, it's very rare that people would automatically use they, them, especially in like the service industry and restaurants and stuff. But yeah, I fully understand that. It's so exhausting and not wanting to constantly correct people. Huh.
I've come out multiple times, like not just like for my like trans experience, but for like my sexuality as well. Because I came out as like pansexual, then I came out as bi, and then I came out as non-binary before I came out as trans. I'm like, oh my god, like.
Yeah, same. I think I went through like 4 or 5 different sexualities, and then I was like, wait. And then I just feel like presenting more androgynous, it is this struggle of like coming out every day and being like, hey, like I know I look this way, but this is like what I am, this is how I feel, and like you can respect it or not, like honestly. It's just, I feel like it's gonna be forever.
I relate to these. I originally came out as bisexual, I think. And I came out several times that way because I came out when I was quite young, probably about 11 or 12, and a lot of people around me told me that it was probably just a phase, blah blah blah. I no longer see myself with the bisexual label just because there's so much stigma around it. So in terms of sexuality, I probably labeled myself as queer these days. But yeah, I came out as bisexual several times, and then I also came out once as gender fluid, which probably explained a lot of things, and now, within the last few years, I've come out as non-binary. Who knows, later on down the line, I might come out as a trans man, you know, we never really know. Self-discovery is something that takes years, and some people come out a lot younger, some people come out later on in life, and it's just a personal journey that I don't think anyone should ever judge for how long it takes you to find who you truly are.
I kind of feel like I have to come out like every single day, just like with new people I meet in my life. Like I'm
also
constantly
this.
having to be like, oh yeah, my name's Mandy, I'm non-binary, I go by they, them pronouns, please respect those pronouns, or this is not like a safe space for me.
I get the like telling people on like a daily basis, like anyone you meet, like I want people to know immediately that I'm trans because I don't want to bring it up later on and have it be an issue with them. I feel like I only came out once because after the first time I kind of made it visible and I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to have to come out again, and I thankfully had very supportive people in my life that like I could have came out to again, but I felt a lot more comfortable just kind of like living my life and having people just like accept what I'm doing with my life without, you know, coming out again.
Cisgender individuals do not understand my
Interesting.
Personally, my friends try to empathize, and I really appreciate that for them. But personally, I think that cis people take for granted, you know, their gender euphoria. Getting ready in the morning and looking at yourself and having the absence of distress. Like when I get up and I get ready and I look at myself physically, like I'm distressed. Like I don't look like the person I was just dreaming I was, you know?
Like I've known people that were cis and then would kind of...
I didn't mean to cut him off. Entirely this pre-op, like pre my top surgery, genuinely, my dysphoria got so bad that I pretty much had to block out the existence of my torso. Like, in my mind, how I saw myself was pretty much like arms and shoulders, like neck and head, and then like waist down. Like, my torso did not exist to me due to the massive amount of like disconnect, especially when you're dreaming and you dream about yourself post-up or in the body that you feel like you should be in and you belong in. Waking up and finding that you're not in that, looking in a mirror, especially like looking in the mirror with no clothes on, was virtually impossible. It was so hard to be like fully naked, because you have so much amount of disconnect to certain parts. My dysphoria only surrounded my chest, so I can't imagine what it's like to have other types of dysphoria. I struggle with some things, but they're not quite as extreme as I had it for my chest, and I'm sure it's not quite as extreme as other people. But all dysphoria is valid. That being said, no one, you know, no matter how much or how little dysphoria you experience, is still gonna be there, and it's still gonna bother you in the back of your mind constantly.
kind of be like transphobic towards me, and then after a few years they start transitioning and they're like, oh, I understand now. And like it wasn't until they were going through it and really felt the pain of it that they were able to understand.
I try to think of just like the whole entire spectrum of just like cis people who are like identifying female, but for some reason their bodies present more masculine. I feel like they can have that sort of point of view that can help them sympathize and empathize for you more. It's all about like the spectrum and just how there's just so many nuances.
Agreed. Cis people can also have dysphoria. You know, cis people can also get gender affirming surgery. You know, like boob jobs, whether it's a reduction or like implants. I know some people get like their jawlines shaved down. I can't remember what the surgery's called. Some people get like their noses straightened. That all counts as gender affirming surgery because you don't feel comfortable with your body and how you look, and you want to be able to be comfortable and in a body that makes you feel happy. This argument. Before anyone says anything, I have openly said on my Twitch stream that life would have been so much easier if I was born a cis man. And it would be interesting. Some things in my life would have been so much easier because I wouldn't have had to deal with the dysphoria around my chest. I wouldn't have had to deal with dysphoria around my voice, sometimes my hands, my height. Sometimes I think that it would have been so much easier if I was born a cis man.
My whole thing is like, I'm already like a person of color. If I wasn't non-binary, I'd be a woman. So like life is not gonna be easy for me. And I just feel like that it wouldn't be the same, but it wouldn't be necessarily easier.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying about being a person of color and being queer, but you know, like I've been through so much horrible shit, and like personally, like my life would be easier if I was cis. I mean, a defining part of who I am is definitely being trans, but every day I do wonder, you know, what if I was actually born a cis like female, you know?
Yeah, I hate that I still think a lot of the time, like, I wonder what life would be like if I was cis, or I kind of wish I was cis. Like, I know I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't know almost anyone in my life if I wasn't trans, and if I didn't go through the struggles I went through. I hate that every week I have to, like, inject my hormones. Like, I get so angry that, like, cis people get it for free, and, like, it's just natural. And I'm like, and there's times where my insurance insurance is being like annoying and I can't get
Yeah,
my
like you
hormones.
got it in your body. Like I got it in a drawer.
Yeah, like it's really, really hard and like breaks me down, but I know that I wouldn't be who I am if I wasn't trans.
Yeah, just like bouncing off that, just the thought of like waking up and not having dysphoria.
That being non-binary is a part of who I am, but it's not everything about me.
About something and like not trying on like 15 different shirts because my chest doesn't look flat enough, or like
This.
just stuff like that. I think it would genuinely make my life easier. But again, it's like I wouldn't meet the people that I have in my life, and I'm so grateful for them.
I hate the idea that I would have been neutral on a whole bunch of these, but some of these I definitely would have been neutral because, or as close to neutral as I could, because I definitely understand both perspectives of things. And it's definitely interesting to see everyone's different experiences in life, and I'm sorry to those that are currently struggling so much with all of these. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate you being here. I hope you have enjoyed this different type of content. I really enjoy doing reaction videos, so yes, if you want more of this content, make sure you click that like button and that subscribe button. I post videos pretty much every single Wednesday, and yeah, make sure you take it easy and stay safe. Goodbye.